Welcome back to the Grape Explorer. Today it's the world of wine. I'm going to be running through some of the news stories from August 2020, some of the things that have caught my eye. I've got a few different stories to run through, quite varied activities taking place in the last month. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm the Grape Explorer. I do wine education, product reviews and lots of wine tastings, and I do like to do a roundup of the news once a month to let you know what's happening in the world of wine. The first thing that I want to talk about today are the fires that are currently raging in California. It's affecting areas like Napa, Sonoma, Santa Cruz. And of course that means that it's potentially impacting the wineries, the vineyards, and of course the surrounding area. Thousands of homes, people have lost their livelihoods, their homes, made things very difficult indeed. Of course, lots of news outlets are picking this story up. I've specifically gone to the Wine Spectator for this story. The fires started as a result of some very severe thunderstorms, lightning strikes hitting the ground, and after a very dry heat wave recently in California, the ground is bone dry. It's very easy to create a fire, and then subsequently there have been lots of winds that have then been carrying that fire as well. So like I say, it is happening throughout Napa County at the moment. Specific areas that are called out here are places like St. Helena and Rutherford, but it is spreading into other areas as well. And one winery in particular, the Green and Red Winery, stated they had a very close call. The fire was to the east and to the south of their vineyards, but luckily for them, the winds were in their favour. They're just in California right now. A lot of places are preparing for harvest. There's no good time for fire, of course, but right now the crop's ready to be picked. And so this, of course, is making some very difficult choices that winemakers need to make. Do you stay and harvest the berries, or do you evacuate? Not an easy decision to make at all, and I'm sure something you're all keeping a close eye on over the coming weeks. Now moving on to an entirely different type of story from Decanter magazine. The Bordeaux harvest for 2020 has already started for certain grape varieties. It's the white grape varieties that are already there to be picked. This is one of the earliest harvests on memory, competing with 2003, which was a particularly hot summer when they harvested early that year as well. They are, of course, putting it down to some favourable weather through the growing season, although the nature of the harvest and the way that it's had to start so early has, of course, naturally got people talking about climate change and how that affects our vineyards. The high summer temperatures, particularly warm nights alongside hot days, created extra challenges for the white wine producers, who've had to try and preserve their acidity as best they can. But they're very pleased with the balance of the grapes that are being brought in so far. So it's looking like, on the white wine side of things, a good year for Bordeaux. Now, a story that I picked out of the drinks business. Wine GB, like a regulatory body here in the UK, has announced their first certified sustainable wineries. They've unveiled the first 12 producers to be certified sustainable as part of the Sustainable Wines of Great Britain certification process. My understanding is that they will then be able to use this certification mark on their labels, and that starts from this year, the 2020 harvest, the 2020 vintage. Certain growers will be able to use that label. Now, I was particularly pleased to see my friends over at Albury Vineyard named as one of the 12 sustainable wineries. For those of you who followed this channel for some time, I did a vineyard tour there recently. If you're interested in seeing that, the link to that video is down below. And they are one amongst a number of different vineyards throughout the UK. And I think what was pleasing for me to see was they weren't necessarily centred in one specific area of the UK. We've got a number of different counties, broadly across the south of the UK, but a number of different counties where this certification has been provided. The scheme, which was unveiled last month, is based on a set of guidelines which detail best practices, minimum standards, and also list prohibited practices. I know from my visit to Albury Vineyards the amount of work that goes into creating a sustainable vineyard. A lot more work goes into that than perhaps some other vineyards where they don't follow such stringent practices. So it's great to see these vineyards getting the recognition they deserve and the wineries able to share this on their bottles. Now I'm going to move from bottles onto boxes, because a story out of Decanter magazine has given us a bit of an insight into what people have been enjoying during lockdown and this pandemic. Drinks Dispatch from Sainsbury's, one of our supermarkets here, has revealed that 6.8 million people bought bag-in-a-box wine during the UK lockdown. Sales of bag-in-a-box wine jumped 41% this year for the lockdown period, adding that 28% of those buying were between the age of 25 and 34. So clearly a millennial-led surge in buying wine in a box. I've been to Sainsbury's. The choice for me is always a little bit limited where I can get it, but I'm interested to get your thoughts on bag-in-a-box types of wine. Lockdown gave bag-in-a-box wine a real opportunity to shine. Shoppers could get the same great taste in a larger container. A lot of these boxes tend to hold about 3 litres, which is around the equivalent of about 4 bottles of wine. And the prices really do vary. You can go sort of lower end, maybe £10–12, and it does go up considerably higher than that for a better quality wine. Bag-in-a-box wines tend to stay fresher for longer because it takes more time for the oxygen to react with the wine once opened compared to a normal bottle. And of course, we were in a lockdown situation. People weren't necessarily wanting to go out every day to the shops to stock up on bottles of wine. So it's quite a sensible solution to go out and get a bag in a box of wine. Boxes, of course, recyclable, environmentally friendly to an extent. I don't even always know if the plastic inside is friendly. Certainly the boxes are. And Sainsbury's also said that sales in its premium wine category, what they consider to be wines priced over £7, were up 25% year to date as well. So just think of that, £7 in their eyes is considered premium. They do have a lot of wines at a less than £7 mark, but it's great to see that people are perhaps investing that little bit more, perhaps because they weren't going out, a little bit more money to spend perhaps, just to give them an idea about what spending an extra few pounds means. Again, I've done a video on what does wine really cost. I'll link that one down below as well. Really insightful, gets you thinking about how much wine is actually in your bottle. And finally, I'm going to move over to Argentina, South America. A news story again out of Decanter, announcing a new Patagonian geographical indicator, a Trevelin, essentially a new region in Patagonia. Southern latitude, 7 hours of daylight, and grape and icicle draped vineyards in summer paint a pretty vivid picture of the extremities of Trevelin, the newest addition to Argentina's GI collection. It's located between 43.07 and 43.18 degrees in the northwest of the Chubut province in Patagonia. Its approval was granted on the 6th of August and it presents a welcome boost for this wine region. Currently just 12 hectares are dedicated to vineyard cultivation, although there's an additional and vast area which can be given over to vineyards if it needed to be, something closer to 40,000 hectares. So what are we going to expect to have grown in Trevelin? Well, grapes they're looking at so far include Chardonnay, Semillon, Gewürztraminer and Sauvignon Blanc, as well as a touch of Marsanne as well. So Trevelin whites stand out for their intense natural acidity and relatively low alcohol, between 11 and 12%. And vintners are also going to be turning their hands to Pinot Noir and Cabernet Franc as well. So some of those cooler climate type reds that do well in those cooler climates will be really interesting to see if some of those make their way over to the shelves here in the UK. Well, there's a quick look at some of the stories that caught my attention in August. Let me know in the comments section below what caught your attention. This was The World of Wine. I'm the Grape Explorer. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.